Greetings, and I welcome you now in the love and light of the one infinite creator. Wish to do a tarot reading for you all. These are general readings. Take what feels right, spit all the rest out. With all that being said, if I can shuffle the deck properly here, then we'll get started on your reading. Okay. I think I could still get a few more readings in here before the end of the day. Days are longer this time of year. Note to self. In the past, we get the Hanged Man reversed. So things are going all right, although you might tend to think a little negative, Death in the current energy. Change. Dramatic change. Doesn't have to be dramatic necessarily, but the death card is all about change, and sometimes it's change that we can't necessarily handle all the time. It doesn't. The good thing is about death is that it's not usually on your doorstep at every given moment in time on this planet anyway. I say usually because there are people who have to actually literally, deal with, death, so, all the time. And it's a cruel world out there for a lot of people, but, it's not necessarily the majority, In the future, we get the Empress. Things are looking fairly swell in the future. You're showing up for fairly strong. Whatever kind of if some this death that's going to occur, or not going to occur. Sorry, there's no death that's going to occur. It's probably already happened. It's probably just happened, or you're just you're dealing with it at this time, or maybe it's or maybe you're dancing with death yourself, or there's lots of different ways you could read having death in the current energy, but maybe I don't know. Maybe you're thinking negatively because you're worried about, or because of a death, or because you're worried about death, no, that's not necessarily true. I don't know. I say things are, it's interesting that I said that things were all okay, with the Hanged Man reversed, but then we get death, which represents change. It could be dramatic change, and it could be, this could be an energy you're coming into, this energy of death, for those of you who haven't already experienced the death at this time, be very mindful that one could occur. Although I see you sitting fairly well off in the future with the Empress. Let's see here. I don't have any questions to ask that come to mind, but let's do death in the current energy. So we get the Eight of Pentacles. Maybe you're trying to distract yourself from death. Because the Eight of Pentacles represents work. So, maybe work kind of gets you away from thinking about this passing, that's going on, where someone's, possibly having to leave this world on you. And the thing is about the death card is that it's a transformative card, you know. It can be death of the old self. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical death. But you know, the thing is that in the literal sense, the death card would mean that. But I mean, it depends on whether or not it's general. Maybe I think whether it's general or personal. You know, for some it would be personal, whereas others it wouldn't be. So it's no matter what, it's general. These are just general readings. You know, I guess. I don't know. I'm starting to adjust the way I do my readings, but you know, because you know, you can tell when you're wrong, you know, and but at the same time, you know, the cards are the cards, you know, and the readings are meant for certain people, and the truth is hard to accept, you know. For those people, you know, and so even if it's only one person out of 100 that actually is experiencing a real death, it's still important to treat it like a real death, like a real somebody could have really passed, you know. Otherwise, you're just playing with the devil, you know. Or death himself, you know. Yeah, no one should ever have to. In a perfect world, no one would ever really have to die, right? I mean, like, and the thing is that the spirit doesn't die, you know. It's just because we choose to live in this density that we have to experience death, because we have to forget who we are when we leave. We have to remember who we are, and when we come in, we have to forget who we are, and we have to start all over again. Depending on whether, you know, and you can choose to you know, if you depending on what you do in your life, you can choose the path of, you know, raising your frequency and ascending, or you know, you can fall victim to temptation and fall and go to a lower density, or you know, so you know, there's higher densities and lower densities, and you know, this planet is 3rd through 4th density. We're working on transition towards 4th density. You know, so it's more about learning about, like, we're learning about love, and it's very interesting that you have the Empress here in your reading, you know, because it's the mother of the deck, and what are mothers known for? Well, they're known for their love, you know, and it's just an excellent energy to have in the future, you know, and love is so important, and the 4th density is about learning about love, the distortion of love. So anyway, you know, which was what we're transitioning to, and yeah, so in the past, you got the Hanged Man reversed, right? So things were all right in the past, although you were thinking negative, and then all of a sudden you have to go through this major change, you know, with death, and you're trying to distract yourself maybe with like work, with the 8 of Pentacles, because we pulled that in the current energy as well. You know, so you know, you're trying to get through things without having to think about it too much, you know, and maybe it's because you do that you actually end up in a positive light here in the future, you know, because most people can't really deal with it, you know, and they have to they have to completely fall to pieces before they can actually realize before they can make, before, I don't know, they have to cause more pain and more pain and more pain and more pain, and they have to repeat cycles and repeat cycles. um, and we as our spirit does that, honestly, if we don't learn our lesson. When we go through a lifetime, if we haven't learned our lesson, then you have to repeat. And it's just like school in a way, and school is actually like based on like this whole like it's school. Life is a giant school in my mind. um or it can be, if you want it to be. um I've always thought of it that way anyway. I don't know. Wanted to. It's just hard to, because some people are so nasty. And some people take lives, and some people, um, you know, can't. Some people can't show you a positive when there's negative. Um, and it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to do, but I know people are capable of it. It's possible to, when you're given a negative, to show positive. Um, but not always. Sometimes you have to reject the negative, and you have to hate things in order to understand what's really, how you really feel, and when what, you know, and whatnot. So I don't know. Um, it's you can either reject the negative thoughts, or you can accept them. Um, and death is something that we all have to deal with, and it helps us. Emotional pain will help you grow and become more spiritual, and a better person overall. So it's a growing pains. It's growing. They're growing pains. In life. And there's just you're just going to be going through some growing pains, possibly, here with the death card and your current energy. With all that being said, I leave you now in the love and light of the One Infinite Creator. Namaste.